All right, everybody. Futures Brizio here. It is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, 11:30 a.m. New York City time. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, God, I'm really dark here with the black on and the black microphone and well, anyways, that's fine. Hey, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, questions, comments, leave them down below. We're going to jump right in here and take a look at where we're at. And we're going to look at some of these grain markets and also look at some of these currency futures. We do have some alerts pinging off here. So you might see a couple pop or you'll hear them on my screen. In fact, I just got one here on soybean oil. So let's just take a quick run over to soybean oil. We'll kind of do this, and there it is again. No, that's the Euro FX. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so wow, these things are really popping off. Okay, yeah, that's soybean oil. Okay, so here's soybean oil. Everybody says, well, you don't necessarily take trades live on your channel, so let's take this trade live. This is soybean oil. We'll put a stop below the swing at 59.79. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, 59.79. That's $324 a risk, just one contract. And there we are. So we're in that trade. Okay. So yeah, basically soybean oil. I mean, we've been on this big run up. So this is kind of like a shorter time frame, kind of like a 1 hour entry here. And I'd be happy just seeing it run back up to these previous highs. Um, Although I don't, expect to see any real resistance on this market for a while. If you have to go all the way out to the weekly chart to see a real big swing area, which is still quite a ways away. So I do think this market will continue up. So we'll see how that one works out. Rice also has had a short has been running down. Again, I've been talking for a long time about, the long-term chart on rice, which is, here you can see all these previous lows. And I've been very hesitant about shorting rice. Here's the 4 hour chart. You can see it's been running into some trouble here the last 12, three candles. So essentially the last 12 hours. And I just haven't been comfortable shorting this. So I've just been watching it, but I have not taken any shorts on this market. If we go out to the daily chart again, we've had quite a run down the last several days. We're running into this, I guess previous resistance now acting as support here, and this is also a zone right in here. This is a valid pullback area that you can kind of see on the 4 hour chart where there's actually, well, I guess there's really no gap here. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's not that it can't go lower, but I didn't trade any of this. And now it's at the point where, I don't know. I'm just kind of watching it for fun, essentially. And so we'll see what happens. Remember, from a standpoint of commitment of traders, let's not forget about that. We are in a net long position. Uh, in rice, you can see the large speculators have been heavily net long this market for quite a while, and that did actually lead to this run up. All right, this coming out of this extreme short area here was down here, and it did run up. So we have already kind of had that move. And when we got the update this week, it really didn't change. You can see the line here is kind of flat, which means they didn't really change their positioning at all. They're still very net long, but we're coming down now. The last 2 weeks pretty aggressively. So will we get a situation where eventually the COT catches up and starts to bend lower again, kind of like what we're seeing on the weekly stochastic RSI indicator? That's what this is here. This is the stochastic RSI. That actually on the weekly chart is actually bending back down again. And it's an interesting phenomena because a lot of times the stochastic RSI lines up with the commitment of traders index. Okay, obviously these are completely different things. The commitment of traders index is, again, it's an index looking at the net long and short positioning of the large speculators is what I'm showing. I don't have the commercial traders showing on here. And so it's a completely different. Whereas obviously the stochastic RSI is just based strictly on price action calculation. But you can see they line up a lot of times, like right here, this previous time where it bent lower and the price began to move lower on the weekly chart, and the COT actually caught up with that. Uh, well, they actually were pretty much in sync with each other. Now here, we've got the stochastic RSI bending lower, but the COT is not. So we'll see when we get the next update. Um, if this, continues to bend lower on the COT, then I'd probably be more apt to be comfortable with shorting this market. But right now, I'm just happy being an observer. And certainly, though, on the weekly chart, this does look pretty bearish, and that we could at least re-challenge these previous weekly lows. So, but right now, I'm not really trading. I'm just kind of watching it. So soybean oil, we just took that trade on, so we'll see what happens with that. Soybeans itself, I took a long earlier, just before the stream started. You see it's in a small profit. And again, this is a little bit risky because on the daily chart, we're up at near these highs right here. But I was hoping just to get a little pop, maybe just back to these highs. But I'm going to have this one on a pretty short leash because, again, the daily chart is at a point where there are major, there's a major resistance level sitting up here on the daily chart, which you can very clearly see right here. That price is kind of bumping into, which is why it really hasn't made a lot of headway here in the last couple of days. Okay, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. But if we look here, soybeans on the hourly chart, you can see, we had this nice pullback during the pre-market session overnight, and now it looks like we're bouncing higher. So we may just be range bound here, but I'm basically, here's that daily high, resistance zone that I drew on the daily chart. You can drop it down to here. So I would love to see maybe a pop up to here, but we may not get there because of just where it's at. But it is still a pretty, a fairly bullish pattern here. But like I said, we may just be range bound for a while until we can either take out these structures here or break higher. So you can see we're back to break even on it right now. So I'll keep an eye on that one. Soybean meal actually had a nice breakout today. All this whole soy complex is pretty bullish. This actually was probably the better one to take, but I didn't take it. Now that it's broken out, I'm a little bit hesitant to jump in. But it does give me a little bit of confidence with the other soybean products because there is a general upward push to this whole soy complex. So, but soybean meal is definitely rallying. Corn continues to just range bound. So again, nothing happening in corn. Again, I point out that the COT on corn on the weekly chart is bending upwards, but we just have not seen that buying take over, even though the COT is showing an increasingly long position by the large speculators. But we just have not seen that translate on the chart. So I'm just not doing anything with corn. Wheat is actually one that I'm waiting for a potential nice long setup for. You can see this is the 4-hour chart again, very bullish. We've had this nice pullback here since Monday. We've been looking at, there's now into a third day of this pullback. In a bullish market, here's the daily chart, very obvious, right? Impulsive move, pullback, impulsive move, pullback. So I'm waiting for this. And this is actually one I would definitely pull the trigger on if we get it. I do have an alert set just above where price is now. I mean, we haven't gotten any definitive confirmation about the end of the pullback yet. It would be nice if we got some. You can see the stochastic RSI has called these pullback ends very nicely, the last couple of ones on the 4-hour chart. But right now we're not getting that signal here for this one. It's still kind of just flatlined. So I don't want to jump in too early here because, it could continue to kind of drift lower before we finally get that push up. But this is one I have a very close eye on, and the one that um, I'm definitely going to take when I get a long signal here. But I'm not comfortable with it yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, so that's it with the grain markets. Overall bullish on the soy complex, bearish on rice, but I'm not trading it right now. Neutral on corn and bullish on wheat. Okay, so that pretty much sums it up. Okay, so now we will look at the currency futures. And I started this discussion yesterday looking at the 7 currency futures you can trade, which is 7 of the 8 majors. Again, you cannot trade the US dollar in the US, and you can't trade the US dollar futures. I don't know why. It's just our regulatory environment. They let you trade the other 7, but not the dollar. So what I did is I added the dollar index, the DXY, which is not a perfect representation of the dollar because it's an index, so it's made up of like a basket to calculate it. But the reason why I like to follow it, even though I don't trade the DXY, is because if I'm going to, let's say, I'm seeing the euro rallying, right, and I see and I want to trade the euro against something else. Well, I can look through all these other ones, and if I don't really see that the other ones are, conducive to pairing up the euro with another currency on my futures account, I mean, excuse me, on my Forex account, then I want to have the dollar as one of those comparators. So for instance, if the euro futures was going up and the DXY was going down, then that would be a potentially good long to take on the euro US dollar Forex pair, which I actually do have a long on that right now on my funded account. Okay, so like I said, I can't trade the DXY in futures, but I just have it on here so that as I'm not only looking to trade these 7 futures markets here on my futures account individually, I can pair them up on my Forex account. Because even though, again, Forex is a spot market, like it's the current price right now, whereas these are futures, they do pretty much move very much similar to each other. So, okay, so it's not exact, but they do pretty much move together. So again, it's just pairing. So if I saw, again, the euro being showing bullish and the Aussie showing bearish, then I'd want to maybe whether I take these trades individually and then potentially go over to my Forex chart, and in that case, take the euro AUD long, right? So you get what I'm saying. So there's 2 different ways, 2 different places I can trade this. I can trade it on futures, trading the individual currencies except for the dollar, uh, as they move. And if I can find 2 that are divergent from each other, one going up, one going down, in other words, then I can match up those 2 as a Forex pair and trade it on the Forex market. Okay. So, because again, Forex trades in pairs. Okay. So I did want to point that out. Remember that the British pound and the euro are very, 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 very similar, very closely correlated. The charts look very similar. Um, and so that's really important to note. Um, and it looks like we do have a little bit of a bullish breakout here on the Great British Pound uh, index. There's the 4-hour chart. Okay, so um, and we also have a little bit of a movement on the euro. It's not great. We have the Australian dollar also moving higher. Okay, and we've got, yeah, I mean, really, a lot of these are moving out. Here's the New Zealand dollar. The Swiss is kind of a little bit range bound right now. The yen is bouncing. It had been in a really steep downtrend, but it's bouncing. This buy limit, I can't get rid of this. I guess I'll have to wait for my broker just to take it off the chart. It doesn't mean anything. I took a long last night in excuse me, I took a short last night in the Japanese yen index, which I got filled on, but for some reason this thing is stuck on my chart. I tried to cancel it, and you can see down here it says failed to cancel order, but it didn't. It's not like it triggered me into a long when it got down here because it's a buy limit. I don't know why it's just sitting there on my chart, but it is what it is. It's not doing any harm, but I'd love to just get rid of it though. Maybe I can if I move it down. No, discard. No, I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So that's the situation. I do kind of like this British pound. So if we look at so let's look at so we get the British pound going up, and here's the US dollar, not really doing too much, kind of trending down a little bit, but let's see. So we got the British pound going up, and let's see here. It's really hard to find two to match up today because then nothing's really moving that much. But let's look at the pound US dollar. Um, I got to add that back to my Forex list. Uh, Whatever, any of these brokers, it doesn't matter. So we look at the pound US dollar, it's rallying, right? Because we've got the British pound futures that are up, and we've got the DXY that's kind of neutral. So again, you want to match strong against weak, or at least strong against neutral or weak against neutral. Okay. So ideally, the best thing to have is them going in the opposite directions, one trending up, one trending down. But you can also have one trending up and one neutral, or one trending down and one neutral. That also would be okay. You won't get quite as much momentum as when they're completely diverged. But a neutral comparator is okay too. But in this case, the pound US dollar is rallying somewhat because, again, we've got a strong pound and a weak US dollar. Okay. And so, um, actually, I probably, so let's do this again, kind of some real life trade here. Let's take a long here on this 135.19 stop loss. We're going to take a long on the British pound futures. All right. And then 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video. So, yeah. So I just took this, and I also just took the British pound US dollar long on my, Forex account right here. And I also just took it on my futures account, which I don't have showing here. This is my personal Forex account, but I do have my funded account. So I just took it on both accounts. All right, so yeah, that's where we're at right now, guys. We've got a little bit of movement. Nothing's like really screaming too much. These currency futures are they're moving, but they're not like there's not a lot of super high volatility. They're just kind of like going up and then pulling back and not really doing much. So it's a little frustrating. We're getting really small moves. Um, it's really been really hard to sustain these moves, but we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, the bottom line is, guys, what I'm doing now uh, with my forex accounts is I'm using these currency futures, which I can trade against 7 of the 8 of them. And I'm looking for trades I can take there, and then trying to pair up weak against strong, or at least against neutral, weak against neutral, strong against neutral, and match that up on my Forex account and take those trades on in Forex. Uh, Now, it kind of, I guess you could say that doubles your risk, because if you're wrong, you'll be wrong probably not only on your futures account, but on your Forex account too, on the pair you took. And that's true. Uh, but I don't take crazy, trade sizes like here. I mean, it's one contract on my, you can see on my personal Forex account is only point 0.3 lots. I don't have a lot of money in that account right now, so I'm just trying to grow it slowly. And on my funded account, I only take half size lots. So it's a little bit bigger, but I just, you know, on a funded account, you got to be very careful. Anybody that trades prop firms, that you if you don't control your risk, you can easily blow up the account like really quick. So if things all go against you, so I don't take large positions anyways. I'm more of that slow grow kind of turtle type trader, and I'm perfectly happy with that. That way there, I can sleep and I can be comfortable if I get stopped out of a trade. It's not gonna blow up my account. I'm not gonna take any huge hit. So that's not trading. That's just gambling if you do that. So all right. So that's where we're at now, guys. That's just a quick review. And probably going forward, as long as I keep this up, that's probably what I'll do is, um, I'll be looking at the grain markets, obviously on their own using COT and just price action and COT levels. And then for currencies to kind of examine the currency futures for potential trades on their own, and then translate that into Forex trades by matching up, weak versus strong currencies. So potentially taking the trades in two different forms. Okay, so you know, but anyways, there's a couple of trades I took, kind of live on the video. Well, it's on the video. You'll be seeing this after I record it, but at least you can see that I'm taking some of these trades, and we'll see how they work out. They might not, and so be it either way. So, all right. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope that was helpful. Again, this is just kind of a little bit of a change for me in terms of markets. Adding on the currency futures, but I think it's helpful in kind of examining the movement of currency futures to help with forex trades. So, all right, guys. So make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. And I'll be back, and maybe we'll drop a video later at the end of the session and kind of see where we ended up with some of this stuff. All right. Take care, guys. Talk soon.